Welcome back to the Black and Gold Report. Again, talking men's basketball with head coach Ben Miller. Coach, we mentioned the freshmen, we mentioned the seniors, but you have a couple of sophomores coming back who contributed quite a bit as freshmen last year. Ben Jacobson, Griffin Pittman. Talk a little bit about them. I know both of them are a little banged up also, but what are you hoping to see from them this year?
Yeah, Ben's coming back from kind of a big toe injury, but he's doing better. And he and Griff ended up starting for us quite a bit last year, and Ben was just a real solid freshman inside that can score and rebound. And then Griff came in and started at the point a good part of the season, and his steady leadership out there, even as a freshman, was impressive, the poise he played with. So it's nice to have, even though they're only sophomores, they got a lot of experience last year, which is great.
Coach, you played. You had your first exhibition. You played Athletes in Action. It was a close loss, but I suspect you learned quite a bit from this game. What did you see that you like, and what are you hoping that the players learn from this game?
Yeah. Well, obviously we were very competitive in the game, and had a double-digit lead in the second half, which we'd never been able to do. It's a real veteran team they bring in, a lot of guys with pro contracts and experience. So our inexperience at some spots showed up in the second half, and I think our guys learned that we can compete against some very talented teams, but also little things like defensive transition, blockouts, things like that we have a chance to really work and improve on the next week going out to California.
Speaking of that trip, so this trip is a big one. It's really the first time that I know that a team from UNCP has traveled to California for anything. You've got two exhibitions against Division I opponents. You play Stanford and then you play San Francisco. First, how did you manage to put these friendlies together?
Well, Stanford, Bob Bowlesby was the AD at the time. Actually hired Dad at Northern Iowa, and Dad stayed in touch. I've been able to stay in touch with Bob, and he kind of set that game up, fortunately, before he took the Big 12 commissioner job. And then Rex Walters is the head coach at San Francisco, and I was on staff at Kansas when he was playing there, so he agreed to play us. And so we really appreciate those guys doing that, and a chance to compete against really good teams in those exhibition games.
Well, we know that puts a little bit of money in the team coffers, which helps as well. But what else does playing against such a big-time Division I competition do for the team?
Yeah, it's kind of like scheduling Athletes in Action. Two high-quality teams, talented teams, very well coached. It helps you get ready for, games like we're going to face down in Anaheim at the Disney TipOff Classic, and then in the Peach Belt Conference as well.
You mentioned the Disney TipOff Classic. I think there's, 6 teams that are going on the men's side, and you've got 3 games lined up. You play Northern State, Southwest Minnesota State, and Winona State. What are the challenges of having 3 games in 3 days, particularly this early in the season?
Yeah, well, the good thing is it's similar to playing in a conference tournament where you got to play back-to-back and regroup and, physically try to get some rest, but mentally also prepare for that next scouting report. So it's great for our guys to have to go through a challenge like that. You got to lean on your depth a little bit, but also your focus and your preparation's got to be really sharp.
I know the players are excited about going on this trip as well. I think you're spending an entire week in California, if I remember correctly. What are the guys going to do in their off time? I hope that Disney has given you guys some tickets to go to their free theme park since they're sponsoring this tournament. Part
of the tournament package, you get an opportunity to go to Disney, and I know the guys will look forward to that. And just the whole travel experience, seeing Northern California, San Francisco area, the Bay Area, and just getting out on the road and bonding a little bit where you really got to depend on each other. You're in difficult environments, different gyms, a lot of unfamiliar surroundings, so hopefully it's a chance for our team to really come together.
I know it's a little while before the Peach Belt play starts, but as you well know, the Peach Belt is one of the toughest conferences in Division II. I assume that this year is going to be no exception to that. Now, I know you probably haven't scouted too much the other teams at this point, but who do you expect to challenge the Braves for the Peach Belt title this year?
Well, hopefully we're in that mix somewhere, but it's, like you said, it's going to be a great league again. I think the traditional powers will always be strong. Montevallo will be good again, and Aiken, Augusta, you could go on and on. I think there's going to be 7 or 8 teams. Out of the 14 now, we're adding 1 team in Young Harris that I think are going to be talented enough to compete, to be, in the mix down the stretch.
Yeah, speaking of Young Harris, I don't know much about their basketball program. Have you learned a lot about it at this point?
Learning a little more. They got a great guy as their head coach, Pete Herman, who I got to know. He was a Division I assistant for a number of years, and I think they won 24, 25 games last year, so we're adding another great team to the league.
No gimmies in the Peach Belt, that's for sure. Well, finally, Coach, you're doing a lot of promotional things this year, including your Chalk Talk series. The team's been very accessible to faculty, staff, and students this year, and I definitely commend you. Talk a little bit about Chalk Talk. We got 30 seconds or so.
Well, actually, my assistant Ben Thompson, he's come up with a lot of neat ideas. He kind of spearheaded the Moonlight Madness effort, this Chalk Talk, something they did at Virginia Tech, and I agreed to give it a shot. But we always, most of our practices are open, and we really want the faculty, the staff, the students in particular have been great. We want them, it's their program, and we want them to feel part of it, and hopefully we can put a team out there they're really proud of.
All right, Coach. Well, we're looking forward to an exciting season of Braves basketball this year. Thanks for joining us.
Thanks.
That's all the time that we have for this week's edition of the Black and Gold Report. Until next week, go Braves.